Hey, 8th grade. So today we're going to do a short mini lesson on writing objective summaries. And then we're going to practice using some short passages to look at point of view, to answer some questions to help us build an objective summary, and then to use our strategies from last week to find theme. So before we get started with practice, we're just going to go over what is an objective summary, what should it include, and what should it not include. So an objective summary is a short description of the story or the text that doesn't include personal opinions. So just like what we always think of as a summary, it should include the main characters, should include important events, it should include key details and facts from the text. But what it should not include are the reader's personal opinions about the characters or events. So think of this as no bias. It should not include bias. We've learned a lot about bias from when we did our nonfiction articles, where you kind of believe one thing or tend to go a certain way with your opinion. It should not have any bias. So take a second to jot these down before we start practicing. And really, writing an objective summary is just like writing a summary, just making sure that we don't include how we feel about the text. We only include what is written there. So let's do a short practice together. I'm going to always read and annotate first and then start answering my questions. I'm going to be annotating for point of view, what do the characters think, feel, and believe, what are the most important events to create my objective summary. So those are kind of going to help me build an objective summary. Now, with this question, what do characters think, feel, believe? The only time that should be included is if it's told to us directly, not because we've made an inference about how they feel, but because the author tells us. And then we're going to do our list of topics to create our theme. So let's get started. When Curtis transferred to our high school from some fancy private school, I was assigned the job of showing him around the building. I'm just going to annotate for some characters, our narrator. And this story gives us events in an order. So first I showed him our trophy case. Our school has put together some quality teams and programs over the years, so our trophy case was pretty full. Curtis was not impressed. This is how our character feels. I'm not making that an inference. It's told to me by the author. He claimed that the trophy case at his old school was at least twice as big as ours and more crowded. Next, I showed him our swimming pool. Not every high school has a swimming pool, so we were proud of ours. But Curtis couldn't care less. Again, this is how he feels. The swimming pool at my old school is bigger and more modern. This one looks kind of dirty, he said with disdain. I continued to guide Curtis around the school, showing him our cafeteria, gymnasium, and even our garden, but Curtis seemed disappointed with everything he saw. He'd quickly compare it to his old school, which in his words was superior to ours in every way. The last thing I showed Curtis was the front door. I told him that he would like this one best because he could walk through it and go back to his old school. So I think there's a lot of clear information here that we can write. So first of all, what is our point of view? It's in first person of the narrator who is showing a new student around. Now, I can infer that my narrator feels frustrated, feels judged, doesn't really like Curtis, but unfortunately, I don't have that written exactly in the text. I only have this last line, but I do know that Curtis was not impressed, is disappointed, is disappointed and feels superior, because that is told to me in the text. I think our most important events would be our narrator showing Curtis the trophy case, the pool, the gym, and finally the front door. So here's some, just quick what's going on in the text, how what we know people feel, and who our narrator is. So now we want to write our objective summary. And again, we can include details from the text. We don't want to make any inferences, like saying our narrator is angry or our narrator doesn't like Curtis. But what I'm going to say is Curtis is seeing, or no, I'm going to start with our narrator. The narrator is showing a new student, Curtis, around his school. He shows him the trophy case, the pool, cafeteria, and the garden. But Curtis is not impressed by anything. Finally, the narrator shows Curtis the front door and tells him to leave, to go back to his old school. So right here we have our objective summary. The narrator is showing a new student, Curtis, around his school. Those are our two characters. That's our setting. He shows him the trophy case, the pool, the cafeteria, and the garden, but Curtis is not impressed by anything. It says that directly in the text. I'm not making any inferences. I'm using facts. Finally, the narrator shows Curtis the front door and tells him to leave to go back to his old school. Again, I could make an inference that our narrator is frustrated, that our narrator feels angry, that our narrator doesn't like Curtis, but I'm just giving the facts because that is not directly stated in the text. So now I'm going to move on to my theme. This is the same strategy we used before. We're going to make a quick list of topics. I'm going to say new student. I'm going to use that unimpressed. When we're thinking of theme, we can use inferences. So we can go from where our objective summary, where it's only facts, and I'm going to use I'm going to say frustrated and judged. And I'm going to say rude because I believe all of those things. So I'm going to think of kind of these last three as my main topics, but I'm also going to use new student because that's kind of our main event that's happening. So the author believes that Curtis acts very rude about his new school, which causes our narrator to feel frustrated and not want to continue to help Curtis. So this is a theme that's very specific to our story. So now we have to make it universal. That's how we create our theme. We get rid of the author believes. We get rid of anything that is specific to the story. And then we write our theme. So we have acts very rude about which causes to feel frustrated and not want to continue to help. So that's very confusing without all of our details. But if we just think about it this way, if you act rude to those who try to help you, they will not want to continue to be helpful. Now, that's not the best theme I've ever come up with. If you act rude to those who help you, they will not want to continue to be helpful. But I think that it's strong enough to say that we have an idea of what we learned from this. So what you need to do now is continue practicing the same skills we just did on your own until you come up front or until class is over. Good luck.